I knew a girl who worked as a cam girl. If you don't know what a cam girl is, skip to the next section. But she was trying very hard to make ends meet for quite some months, till one day her account started gaining a bit of traction. That was when she met a client who made her an offer she couldn't refuse. This offer was going to fix a huge portion of her money issues. The old man wanted her to do something very weird, something very weird. All he wanted her to do was to sit on a chair in her underwear, fully clothed, and list all the things about herself she was most embarrassed of. She had to do this for 1 hour, 3 days a week. For that service, the client was going to pay her 5 times her hourly rate. That was a lot of money. He gave her 24 hours to either accept or reject this opportunity. So she thought about it for quite some time and decided to go forward with the client. As promised, she got paid in full. The only problem was that after every call with this client, she got really sad and cried for hours. After a couple of months, she went down into a depression spiral. The supreme irony of life is that hardly anyone really gets exactly what they desire. On face value, this statement by American journalist Henry Louis Merchant seems like the usual boilerplate drivel until you take a closer look of your life and that of others around you. If I told you I could give you whatever you have ever wished for, but you just have to give up something you really love, would you accept my offer? What price are you willing to pay? John Cena have been the face of WWE for the past 2 decades, but on the 10th of March 2024, John Cena was invited onto the stage of the Oscars by Jimmy Kimmel to announce the winner of the Best Costume Design. What followed shocked you. Most have even dubbed it the Walk of Shame, a reference to the Freemasonry ritual that is performed when a new member is inducted into the cult or religion or brotherhood or whatever you call that group. Don't quote me on this. What's your worst fear? Spiders, cockroaches, snakes, or rats? By the end of this video, I will reveal my worst fear and how I feel is coming into reality. But first, let's continue with some backstory. After his introduction, a nervous, disgraced, cold, and above all frightened John Cena started walking sideways into the stage, wearing just the clothes he had on when his mother gave birth to him. He was wearing nothing, apart from the tiny envelope he used to cover his dangling with. His outfit was dubbed the costume of the night. All the respect people had for John Cena prior to that night evaporated like morning dew. Conspiracy theories have been quick to label it a ritual for Cena to become famous, or perhaps a ritual as a form of retribution to the powers that be for all his previous successes. After Cena did this, one can't help but wonder what he had to do behind closed doors in order to become the face of WWE. And I wouldn't go into the story of men wearing dresses in Hollywood or TikTok. See Cat Williams for more info on that. Have you ever watched the movie Die Fighting? Spoiler alert, the whole plot of the movie is about a guy who desperately wants to be a successful movie star or a director. So he devises a plan to set up security cameras, then set up his friends to fight each other to the death in order to create a spectacular movie. Bottom line is, he knows from the onset that he will lose a couple of friends, all of his friends, if he goes down this road. But he also believes that is the price he is willing to pay for his success. Similar to this, in an episode of The Boondocks, Robert Freeman, a Boondocks character, wants to be a movie star so bad he is willing to kiss a man if that's what it takes. He calls it his eating the monkey testicles moment. Robert almost made it to the top. Just one rope to jump over and he will be casted as a lead in the new Winston Churchill movie. It's in that moment that Robert realizes he needs to do more than kissing to get that position. He needs to suck Winston. You know what? That's a very steep price for Robert Freeman. He agrees initially, but pulls out at the last moment, no pun intended. The price of becoming a movie star is too high for Robert, so he gives up. After all that 2 weeks of hard work and acting practice is successful, whatever success might mean to them. This could range from passing an exam with straight A's to becoming a CEO, a president, or even something as wholesome as having a family. But what are you willing to give up to achieve this success? What price are you willing to pay to get there? Because sometimes it's beyond the usual hard work or just keep showing up mantras. Your hard work will eventually take you to a position where you have to make a decision. That decision will determine whether you lose everything you have worked so hard for or whether you move up another level. There are a lot of artists that no one knows who they are simply because they couldn't bring themselves to jump over that final rope. The cute baby, for example, comes with frequent midnight feeding and crying sessions. Speaking of babies, did you know that Dana White had to artificially fast forward the birth of his son so that he could attend a UFC mega event? Yes, that's right. He had his wife undergo a C-section so that the baby wouldn't be born the same week or day as the mega event. But that's the price his father was willing to pay to make sure he was at his drowning company's event. At that moment, it was either UFC stays afloat or Dana White attend his son's birth. Luckily for him, he could make a compromise during this situation. Yours might not be that similar, or perhaps you might have to choose only one option from a host of horrible options. What's the price you are willing to pay to get what you want? We all work hard, but all your hard work is useless if you haven't sat down to consider what you are willing to give up to get to where you want to go. Maybe your morals, missing family dinners, birthdays, kids' soccer matches, health. Ultimately, there is nothing as work-life balance. Elon Musk admitted to taking drugs to help cure depression so he could get back to work. Many top programmers working at FAANG companies take Adderall to stay productive. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, depended on propofol more than water. Most musicians and DJs use alcohol to stay sober. You can't be a con or OnlyFans actress and expect the same level of respect like a nurse per se. I'm talking to you, Brie Olsen, Mia Khalifa. Everyone should in theory be respected equally, regardless of their career choices and societal status. Unfortunately, things don't work that way in real life. In order to win Mr. Olympia, you have to accept and come to terms with the fact that you will abuse steroids, have small testicles, and probably die before the age of 60. What scares us most is not that we are incapable, it's the fact that we are powerful beyond measure. Mark Twain. So what am I exactly afraid of? Well, the answer is very simple. But it took me more than 20 years and a near-death experience to come to that realization. I am scared of succeeding. I can't tell for sure why that is. Maybe some shrink in the comment section can diagnose me. From a very early age, I realized that I could easily do anything I put my mind into. I don't mean becoming Jordan, Elon Musk, but you get my point. A few of my teachers realized it too. And then later, I found out in order to get into the flow or focus state, I needed two things: constant competition with someone and some high-level interest in the given venture. Over the years, I have worked on getting into my flow state without any external influence. But the problem was that once I got into that state, it was difficult to get out of it. And in that state, I usually got a lot done. But the longer I stayed in, the scarier it became to try going into that state the next time. This made my productivity chart look like the Himalayas with a bunch of high mountains of tasks completed, followed by deep valleys of no activity. As to how high these mountain peaks were, I have once gone for 10 days without talking to anyone, just locked myself indoors. The older I have got, the more I realize my fear isn't exactly about succeeding. It's the fact that I know succeeding in any of my ventures or projects will practically mean that I have to change my way of life, have less free time, meet and talk with many new people, which is a nightmare for me, being an introvert. Just a side note, Meeting new people is overrated. Or as Tim Dillon puts it, I have met a lot of successful and interesting people in my field, and they were not that interesting. But just like Robert Freeman, it has finally come to the point where I have to either eat those monkey testicles or shiver and get back into my shell. Swim or drown, sort of. Logically, it's not even a choice. I have to swim. But it's a difficult choice to make nonetheless. But say you are intelligent, you are talented, you are focused, you are dedicated. Now what? Well, pick your road and pick the poison you are willing to drink to get there. In other words, talk with someone who is already gotten to where you are trying to go and ask them about their monkey testicles moment. Believe me, you will want to know in advance before you get to that point. Otherwise, you might just waste 20 years of your life pursuing a goal and working towards something you won't have the guts to see through. Thanks for watching. Cheers.